You've got episode 58 of Shack Together, and today we're bringing you none other than Lucas White. He's got the latest on Vampire Survivors and new DLC dropping, a review for SaGa Frontier 2, the remastered game from Square Enix, the review on Bleach Rebirth of Souls, and Inayah Life After Gods, a review machine. We play a quick game of Donkey Kong 60-Farce, then it's on a story time, previews for Monster Train 2, Wuchang Fallen Feathers, The Midnight Walk, and Doom the Dark Ages. Reviews for everyone's favorite Blueprints, a game that is all the hype right now, looks very cool. Reviews for Disney villain Cursed Cafe, Commandos Origins, Grit and Valor 1949, and South of Midnight, Xbox's own. We've got news on Microsoft Copilot generating Quake slop. You'll have to listen to understand what I mean by that. Marathon gameplay reveal coming. Localthunk loves Blueprints and is rooting for it at TGA later this year. Xbox has a showcase coming. Hades 2 will be a Switch console exclusive. Hollow Knight Silksong will also be released on the original Switch, and more. We also, of course, cover industry news and everything happening with the tariff situation, so that's at the back half of the show. Check the timestamps if you're interested. Anyway, without any further delay, here is the show. Here we go.
The Cleveland Cavaliers have secured the number one seed in the NBA playoffs, which I know both of you must be super excited about.
I am, I think.
Those were words. I understood some of them.
Yeah. Anyway, also, did you see LeBron James has a Ken doll now?
That's wild.
Is it a Barbie brand?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's huge. That's like a big deal, right?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Like actually like a real person has a Ken doll in that universe, and yeah, it's a prominent black man. I think that's cool. Good for LeBron, because he's not going to win the NBA final this year. At least he can have a Ken doll.
Exactly.
But yeah, the road to the NBA finals goes through Cleveland, Joe.
I mean, I really dislike the Celtics. So yeah, I am happy about the clinched first spot.
Yep. And yeah, you know who's not happy about it? The entire sports media. Because two reasons. They don't want to come to Cleveland to cover it, and they just don't like talking nicely about Cleveland sports. They would prefer talking about LeBron James and the Lakers or the Knicks, or, you know, like a larger market. But like, we just keep being good at basketball, you know? Sometimes you have to at least acknowledge that.
When we were in Cleveland at was it Oracle?
It was Quicken Loans Arena at the time.
Quicken Loans. Yeah.
Oracle is the Warriors' old arena.
That's right. Quicken Loans. There was nothing second rate about it. That's a nice place. Downtown Cleveland's a nice spot. You can get a nice hotel. Those broadcasters can suck it up, and it'll be great.
They always cry about not being able to go. Oh, I can't go to LA. I can't go to Miami. It's like, well, those teams suck. Like, sorry.
Boo-hoo.
Anyway, go Cavs. It's Shack Together in America on the internet. If this is your first time joining us, good job. Shack Together is a Shack News video game podcast featuring myself, your host, Shack News CEO, EIC, EIEIO, Asif Khan. Our producer, Joe Stasio, is here.
Hello.
And special guest, I think the second time on the Shack Together podcast. Third time.
I think third right?
time.
Third time. Hat trick. Wow. Lucas White, contributing editor and person with video game opinions on the internet.
Several.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a very special day because we are going to celebrate victory in F-Zero 99 Day, and I believe you were on that episode, Lucas, where I disclosed that I had won in F-Zero 99. So we'll get to talking about all that stuff here in a second. I do want to just start the show addressing last week and just going forward. The one thing that I really am serious about is not aiding in the spread of misinformation. It's something I used to rant about at the end of every Shackcast. The sharing of misinformation on social media leads to a lot of really damaging things. Last week, our podcast spread the same $90 Nintendo Switch 2 game misinformation that many other YouTube channels did. We have taken corrective action to prevent this from happening again. It was not up to the journalistic standards of Shack News or what I'm trying to create here with the Shack Together podcast. So going forward, if someone does try to present some financial information on this show, I will be sure that we look at the source and the source of the source, because many times, and I'm not saying that I'm alone in this or anything, but like many times on the internet, people will see something that confirms their bias and they'll hit retweet or share without actually considering if it's true or not. This is a huge problem on the internet. We don't want to be a part of that. So yeah, just advice to readers, listeners, viewers. If you see something on the internet and it's an exclusive story or you haven't seen confirmation of it anywhere else, try to vet it. Ask the person on social media what's the source. And I know that like a lot of people just blindly trust blue check marks, but I think it's kind of funny that even if you avoid Twitter entirely and you're just using Google search or Reddit, a lot of the times misinformation is either being generated from Reddit or Twitter, even if you're actively trying to avoid Twitter. So as someone who is still on that platform, I'm probably more aware of just how much misinformation is there. Example would be the amount of times I've run into false information with respects to GameStop on the internet. So if you hear me talking about something financial, it's because I have either a direct source or I have a reputable source or multiple sources for whatever information it is. And that remains the standard that I have. To have a whole episode where one of the premises was $90 games is just unfortunate, because we could have actually talked about the early access I had to the system or something else. So if you listened to that episode last week, thank you. Just know that going forward, we're going to get back to what I think everyone likes about this podcast. So yeah, as I said, this is a video game podcast. So we asked this very important question to our guest first. Lucas, what have you been playing lately?
Oh man, a lot of stuff. Most of it I can't talk about, so it goes.
Yeah.
But today, something really weird and unexpected happened. I thought I was hallucinating for a minute because I was up pretty late last night, and then I see somebody tags me in Discord. Vampire Survivors SaGa DLC, and I thought I was being like made fun of or something.
Yeah, the Emerald Diorama.
Yeah, so out of nowhere, I think even during I think the AAA initiative was on at the time. Mm-hmm. It was like during someone else's stuff. They were just like free Vampire Survivors DLC, and it's a collaboration that nobody on planet Earth ever would have expected. But I'm super excited about it. And
yeah, 12 characters being added, 16 weapons, and 9 new songs. It's free?
Yeah.
That's wild.
And it's all based on SaGa Emerald Beyond, which was my personal game of the year last year.
Yeah, that's your shit right there.
Yeah, so I was just going. I couldn't process it. I was stunned because it's a brand that Square Enix has kind of nurtured for 30 years, but it's just not super popular. And so having it show up in a game that is very, very popular, it was just like a very nice treat.
Yeah.
Also really confusing. But,
so did you play the Castlevania DLC last year or the Contra ones?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember how the Contra one had a Contra style boss battle? Do you think they could do something similar with this? Is there, because some SaGa games are turn based, right?
Yeah, most of them are.
So do you think there's going to be some weird turn based part of this?
Maybe. It's similar to the Castlevania one where there's spots on the map that spawn bosses when you touch them.
Yeah. Okay.
The weirdest thing about it, or the most the biggest gimmicky thing, is in SaGa games they have they call it a glimmer system. Basically, in the middle of a fight, as your characters are doing stuff, they might spark a new skill, and basically a light bulb appears over their head, and it makes a really fun sound effect. and they just get to use like a brand new skill for free. And that's implemented in here. Okay. So like,
cool.
I'm running around with the.
Is it similar to like the level up mechanic in Vampire Survivors, like where you're just like improving your axe or whatever?
It's on top of that.
Oh,
so like
that's cool.
So I'm like running around as the first character you get, and he's got his starting weapon, and that can be leveled up like normal. But then I was just like in a group of guys beating him up, and the light bulb went off, and I got a new skill, and it like added it to the the timer on the normal attacks, and so he'll do normal attacks, and then he'll pop off the one he learned, and then presumably it'll add to that if I keep sticking with that guy. That like shows cool. The name of the move on like the corner of the screen. Yeah, it's really neat.
Huh. This is a game, man, that like when I get into it, it's just gonna own me for like weeks. So it's kind of like Balatro in that sense, where like I've kicked the Balatro habit for a few months now, and I'm like, God damn, I'm not even that big into the SaGa franchise, but everything you're saying, I'm like new, interesting, and cool. I just love how they keep supporting this game. But for this to be free is pretty wild. And completely unexpected. Like,
it's substantial too.
I thought Contra was weird because the obvious partnership was Castlevania,
right?
But they did.
That was funny though.
Oh yeah, like I wonder if this isn't the last. Like, this probably isn't the last Square Enix crossover, in my opinion. Like, they're like you said, it's not their biggest franchise, so they can experiment with it. But it wouldn't surprise me if we see something else end up in Vampire Survivors as a result of this. Like Final Fantasy VII characters or something.
Yeah, no, just to kind of add to that, another cool part of this, there's a FAQ for the DLC on Steam from Ponkel, or however it's supposed to be pronounced.
Ponkel? I don't know.
Yeah. And they're just like rattling off like SaGa stuff. Like, yeah, SaGa's like my favorite RPG, and this worked out great. And he pointed out some like references and base Vampire Survivors to stuff from the SaGa games. And it's like, oh, this person's a whole sicko over here for this stuff.
Wow. So this is like a personal thing that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of the Friends of Jimbo updates. Like, it's in Balatro. It's been a lot of just like, I like these games. I want them to be in my game now. Both those games, man, they're the model now. Like, that's the indie model for how to create like a successful indie live service game, supported for years.
Definitely.
Cool. So you're going to keep playing it? You're still got a lot of characters to unlock and stuff?
Oh, 100%. I only played a little bit. Just like the opening character and trying to,
What platform are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on Steam at the moment. Just time sunk pretty much. It's like that's where all the press updates come from and stuff. So
yeah, I just I played it quite a bit on mobile. I don't really enjoy it that much on mobile, but the most hours I had in it are probably on Switch and then Steam. But I have like hundreds of hours. Interesting. I'm gonna have to take a look at this, but I might just watch the trailer because I'm afraid to like get sucked back in and be like, oh, I didn't finish this part of the Castlevania DLC. That's if you're a completionist, Vampire Survivors is like purgatory or something. Like you will never finish it.
The Castlevania stuff is massive. There is so much of that.
It's so big.
It's absurd.
And then Contra took a while for me. Like unlock, you have to do all these different runs to unlock characters. Like, I love how they do that because it incentivizes you to keep playing the game. But yeah, at this point, with so many games coming out and the looming Switch 2 launch, I'm trying not to become obsessed with games. Although there's a game I'll talk about that I think might fall into that category. That wasn't all the SaGa this week for you. You've reviewed you reviewed SaGa Frontier 2 Remastered, right?
Yeah. That was exciting because it was another thing that kind of came out of nowhere, sort of. They had made it pretty clear they've been working on this for a while. But it shadow dropped during a Nintendo Direct.
That's right.
Yeah, there's the trajectory for the series kind of coming back has been pretty linear in like an interesting way. Like they dropped like a couple of little remasters on like the eShop and stuff a few years ago just to kind of see what would happen. And they did well. So it was like perfect timing for people showing up for like old school RPGs cheap on Steam.
And kind of like in the last 3 years, Lucas, we've seen Nintendo specifically pushing RPGs on Switch. Like a lot. And Square even came out. I want to say it was in like the aftermath of the Rebirth sales numbers or whatever. And they were like, yeah, this whole platform exclusivity thing's not working for us. We're going to put our games on everything. Right. I think that was like the first move. And now we're seeing, like I said, they're experimenting with SaGa first. But now it's like, yeah, we got SaGa at the Nintendo Direct and they're shadow dropping stuff. But like for the last 3 years, it's really been a lot of RPGs coming out on Switch. And like games that were on Vita or PSP era or DS era are like finding new life on Switch. So that's cool because there's like way more people playing Switch than any of those platforms. So it's
exactly.
So I think
especially over in Japan.
It makes sense. Like this is how you revive an RPG franchise like this. So they're actually, it makes a lot of sense what they're doing. But this is a PS1 game, right?
That's right.
Wow.
And it's one that I think like for people that aren't like, Ryba old divers like me, that's the one they were like most likely to have played at some point, like if they grew up with a PlayStation. That came out at like, it was like 1999 when people were just buying everything Square put out. And it's like, it's weird even by SaGa standards because those games are all about just doing unconventional things across the board. This one almost doubles backwards towards convention in a weird way. So it's got like a linear story, and it's kind of like a fantasy story. Usually they're like genre mishmashes and super non-linear and stuff like that. So it's an interesting game. I think probably not like my favorite, but it's still got that kind of base level of quality I expect from that team. But I think the biggest takeaway for me with this was the remaster job itself is phenomenal. It's like, I feel like it's almost a, I don't know, it might be hyperbolic, but I keep thinking like gold standard or a new bar or just like, it's just, it treats the game with a ton of respect, does really interesting and smart things with it. And there's nothing that's like weird or off about it. It's just like perfectly handled.
And like as a fan, you wouldn't say, "Oh, you should really play the PS1 version if you can."
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like remasters, you kind of never know what you're going to get, even from like Square Enix. But like
it's just it's not consistent. Like sometimes you get a remaster and they like try to stay as true to the original as possible. Other times you get a remaster and it is like
Tactics Ogre. It's like,
but also
what is
like,
this card game you put all over the map? Yeah, it's like totally different.
But they also like this, like I think you call out the settings and like the background specifically, Lucas, in your review, and like it's noticeable in your screenshots. You're like, yeah, that looks way better.
Oh yeah.
So I like stuff like that. So they are improving the art. It's not just like, yeah, we found this thing we found a CD lying in the back of our office. We decided to port it to Switch. It's like, no, they actually care.
Yeah.
So the dual system, still sick of?
Did not enjoy that. That felt like meddling from higher up the food chain. In that kind of PS1 kind of way when like everyone was, you can go and read tons of articles about C-suite guys at PlayStation just like getting in the way of like 2D games or ports or things like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of smells like that a little bit, I think.
So that's the other side of like a faithful remaster, is that you have to bring on some gameplay mechanics that probably feel antiquated in 2025. But I think that's that line, right, between remaster and remake. Like remakes are where you're like, hey, this thing sucked, let's fix it.
Right.
Whereas a remaster is like, no, this thing sucked, but it's part of the game. Deal with it.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll like make changes to things like that to make them a little more, friendly or whatever. But one of the things about this one that made me really appreciate is like the changes they make are kind of on the outside. So it's like the UI, and then there's like an extra feature that kind of helps with grinding, but it's like on the outside. And so you can still see like the problems that the game would have without those things. So it's like the original game's kind of I don't know, essence or something like that is still like observable. You can see like, oh, if I didn't have this thing on the side, then this would be a really big problem. I can like see that and understand it. Instead of just like, paving over it, which I really appreciate.
Nice.
Is this the best place to, maybe I'll rephrase. I've never played SaGa. It very much stinks like a Joe thing. Where should I start?
Probably the Romancing Saga 2 remake that came out last year.
Okay, yes. I did that. I played that demo and quite liked it.
Yeah, that one's very, very newcomer friendly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So you reviewed this game that I've been covering just from the video side for I don't know, it feels like a year. Bleach Rebirth of Souls finally came out.
Oh gosh.
From your reaction, I can tell how you feel about it. Sorry, I forgot. We did give a score to SaGa Frontier. I think SaGa 2 Frontier Remastered. I got an 8.
I want to say 8, yeah.
But you did give Bleach a 6. What's wrong with this thing? Just kind of curious.
I would say 2 things specifically. One, the story mode is just awful. It's like in a way that's like really confusing, and like a really missed opportunity because Bleach has been kind of in obscurity for like 10 years, especially in video games, right? So I was really thinking they were kind of pulling out the big guns and being also, making a statement.
Based on all the trailers, that would have been a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was story heavy, like character driven, and then reading your review, I was like, oh, so that was all talk.
Yeah, it's weird because like it does kind of the motion comics thing that you see in a lot of games like this, which is fine. And some of those, like when they do static drawings kind of moving around to sort of look like manga, it's actually really nice looking. Like the colors are really cool and the art's really good. But then they like randomly swap between that and like in-engine cutscenes. And they just like every possible moment they can like step on a rake with the way their engine or something is built. They do it. It's like the models will move around and talk to each other and interact and stuff. But as soon as something happens that you can tell like, oh, the game was not built to be able to display this properly, it'll like throw a blanket over your face and be like, nope, nothing weird's going on here. You can't see that there's an issue.
Oh, weird.
So it'll be like, oh, here's an action sequence, and then the screen will just go black, and they'll do like a little visual effect or something, or like a character will do something and they obscure most of their body in a really weird way. It's so bizarre. I don't even think I've described it great, but seeing it take place, you're just like, what in the world are you doing?
And that's not just the presentation. I feel bad, man. You've had 2 games this year that have rock, paper, scissors combat, and like,
oh man,
Omega 6 is a delightful game, visual novel style, but man, I hated the combat in that game. And then I don't want rock, paper, scissors style crap in a fighting game like this. So it sounds like the gameplay also left you wanting more.
Yeah, it makes like a decent first impression because it does move pretty fast, and like the actual gameplay looks really nice, and it's got really cool like UI stuff happening. So it's like that's where you watch the trailer like you were saying, and that's where it's like, oh, this actually looks sick. But then you like sit with it, and I went the route where I was like, okay, this game, they didn't send it out until it came out. So there was plenty of like content on YouTube from like FGC people and stuff.
Yeah.
So I sat and watched. I was like, okay, how does this game like work, for real? And the answer was pretty much you can kind of trick it to do more things, but it's like the game discourages you from doing it with damage scaling, and all you're really doing is like basically extending your combo a little bit into the exact same thing you just did. So it kind of looks like what is that game? There's like a beat 'em up where you can like your character punches and then turns around and punches. I think it's one of the final fights.
Okay.
So it's just like the same animation over and over again. So you're not like doing things differently. You're not like figuring out, like self-expression kind of stuff that makes a lot of fighting games good. It's like, okay, I'm going to press heavy, light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy, and then I'm going to press the B button, and then I'm going to press heavy, light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy. And you just kind of do that over and over. And in between that, it's like, okay, who's going to let go of the block button first? kind of thing. And I played online. I played versus mode, story mode. Like the gameplay just didn't change.
And you said the character roster is like horribly balanced too. So,
oh yeah, super bad. It's like, here's the main characters. They're clearly better than everyone else.
Yeah, that's not great either. So yeah, all that to say, 6 out of 10 seems right on the nose for this.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll address some of these issues over time, because, fighting games do have like a lifespan, and some of those things that you're talking about seem like they could be fixed with patches, but others, I don't know. I'm glad you reviewed it. I didn't, but no offense to Bandai or anything. I've been covering it, like, all those trailers. I've been watching all of them, and I'm just like, I had this weird feeling about it. And then when the embargo for the review was after the game launched, I was like, oh, that's usually a bad sign too.
Yeah, it came in like the night before too. It was weird timing.
Yeah, it's like, you have 6 hours till embargo. It's like, yeah.
Okay.
And the servers aren't live either. It's like, okay. And like a lot of the time when it comes to fighting games or online games or primarily live service games, Shack News will just not review a game until the servers are live.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Instead of having to split it into 2 reviews or whatever, or just never reviewing the multiplayer. And then lastly, you played Inayah, Life After Gods, just like this side-scrolly Metroidvania with some decent art. Looks okay.
I had to think for a second what that was. Like, wait, what did you say? Oh yeah, that game.
It's not a game that I think people are like, oh yes, Inayah. But like, honestly, it's better than naming your game Anthem.
True.
Because that's horrible SEO. But yeah, this is one of your cons is just straight up combat isn't fun.
Tough. That's a tough one.
So that's not great for a Metroidvania. But yeah, like I think the actual place that it takes place in looks kind of neat. The setting, some of the gameplay mechanics are okay, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff in it.
That multi-purpose tool / weapon idea is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And the thing that stuck out to me about this game is the art, the hand-drawn art, and the animation is also very solid. There's some bugs in there. This is a huge problem I think Metroidvanias fall into. Backtracking is annoying because some of the rooms are just too big.
Yeah.
I think Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I think, handled backtracking better than a lot of games lately. Joe, it may not be your favorite Metroidvania, but that aspect of it I thought was good.
I don't remember having an issue with that.
Yeah. And then you forgot about the skill tree entirely.
Oh yeah, like I was banging the review out and I was like, okay, here's the points I want to hit. There's like a really specific thing I want to touch on. And then I was done and felt pretty good about it and looking over it. And then I was like, wait, there was a whole skill system. I just didn't mention it once. I'll use that actually. Because you're just putting points in some circles and stuff happens in the background. It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah. So yeah, 7 out of 10 review there. Once again, thank you for playing it so that we didn't have to.
Oh, no problem. Always happy to try something weird because you never know. It might turn out to be like like a Blade Chimera or something. Like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, or sometimes a RoboCop lands in your lap, and you're like, this is delightful.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, you played a video game.
I did. I had a lull since Mother 3 wrapped. I really took the month off looking back. One of my friends said, oh, how did you feel about the soundtrack to Super Mario RPG? And I said, and what they meant was, how did you feel about the reorchestrated soundtrack for the re-release?
Remake. Yeah.
I said, I have no idea. I've never played the old or new version, nor do I know the soundtrack. And they said, oh, well, what on earth are you doing? You got to play that.
Mm-hmm.
I had it sitting on my shelf and I said, all right, I'm going to Chicago. Got a flight, got a short flight, but I got a flight and a couple hotel nights to occupy myself with, and I'm going to do this. So I did just that. What a delightful little package. I have one qualm, which I'll get to, but all the good stuff. It is beautiful. And it's like really testing the Switch. If you've played this remake, it is testing the Switch, which is interesting because it looks really sharp. Like the graphics are really good. The pace is unbelievable. That's what I crave, and and that's what starts to frustrate me when I'm getting when I'm on this show and complaining about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, this is the antidote, right? And of course, it's a completely different era. And what Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is doing is not pulling from the brevity of its source material. It's instead inventing new fluff, and that was my frustration there. So
took
this
one game and turned it into 3 games. Actually 8, because if you count the Final Fantasy Battle Royale mobile app and Crisis, whatever, and Chaos Man, there's a lot.
The novels,
yes, the extended universe, yes, all that.
Totally. I don't, and I'm not even hating on that stuff. I think it's like it's very good sci-fi, but it's just it's not considerate of your time the way a game like this is. And not every game has to be like this, but it's hitting at the right moment where I didn't want something long-winded and I didn't want a big time suck. And yeah, I mean, I'm like 60% done if I'm to believe the save menu, right? And then I don't know, I've put in like 7 hours or something. It's like it's really tight, and the soundtrack is fantastic. Like I said, the art is delightful, and I do like the interpretation. I could see like if this was like a childhood memory of yours, maybe not loving what they did with the art, and you might miss the what those 3D renders, I guess, those like 3D rasters rather.
Sure.
I could see that being a taste thing, but nostalgia aside, it's like really good execution. So I'm enjoying it. The one thing that's giving me pause on it in terms of it becoming like a hyper recommendation from me is it's just so passive. It's so easy, like terribly, terribly easy that can't have been the SNES experience. But I don't know if either of you have played this remake.
I did. Yeah, I haven't played the remake all the way through, but I played the original. It was excellent. Like the experience was solid back on the SNES, and the music was also outstanding on the SNES. Yeah. It's one of my favorite SNES soundtracks. I think Mega Ran has used some of them for his his chiptune stuff.
Shimomura just got a BAFTA.
That's right. Yeah. I think the composer of the soundtrack, Joe, just won a BAFTA. I think it was a lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
Too,
how fitting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So congratulations to her too. But yeah, I actually haven't had a chance to dive too much into remake, Super Mario remake. I'll say this was one of those games that I kind of was hoping would run better on Switch 2. So I kind of held off on playing it.
Yeah. And I didn't expect that, right? Like the game doesn't scream graphical powerhouse, like in the trailers or any of the PR. So I am usually in the headspace that you just described. I am often thinking about that trade-off of delayed gratification. I just didn't think year 7.
This is like a year 7 Switch game.
Yeah, this was, I think it was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it chugs. Docked and portably it chugs. So, but it's so short, like if this was some like 50-hour game and I'm 7 hours in, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to hold off and wait for new hardware to dig in. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. It's very delightful. And that's the right fun word. Yeah.
Have the kids gotten a chance to watch you play it at all?
No, but I think based on how Thousand Year Door went, I don't know if they'll appreciate it.
Okay. I mean, it involves a lot of reading, and you got young kids, and like that's boring. Like, but if you read, if you have to, it's funny because I know like Patrick's son, like he's obsessed with Thousand Year Door.
Correct. Yeah.
So like, it just depends on the kid, but also like where they're at when it comes to reading. like RPGs are so reading.
And Thousand Year Door, my understanding is that they changed this, is you could not skip ahead in this remake. It was just a very sluggish, like, kind of choice that they made where each dialogue line was unskippable or unfast forwardable. On top of like even just like the frame rate was cut in half from the original. Like a lot of stuff just kind of slowed down in that remake to the point where I said, I think I'm gonna maybe try again later. So anyway, that's me. Cool. I hope to have it wrapped by the next show. So anyway, Asif, what have you been playing?
Okay, well, we'll get to the obvious one in a second, but I've started playing Schedule 1. It's on early access on Steam right now. It's like a 3-person dev studio, but like one actual coder. This is like Bugsnax meets GTA.
Wow.
Like, does that seem fair?
Bugsnax I have not played, so I don't know what you mean.
Bugsnax is a first-person game that's not a shooter, right? But it's like, it has like Pokemon elements where you're collecting the different Bugsnax or you help people. Why I compare the two is like, Bugsnax starts in like a village and you like meet people and you're a journalist and you're trying to break this story. Schedule 1 starts in a trailer park and you're growing weed in an RV. So very different. But the mechanics of like walking around both the towns that you're in feel similar, where it's like, this is not a first-person shooter. This is a first-person drug dealer simulator. And it has this really charming art style that like, it feels retro-ish. I took a screenshot of the character selection screen because it just made me laugh. You can, when you're creating your character, obviously you can affect their skin tone, their hairstyle, whatever, if they're fat or not. But like, way to know your audience. There is a slider for like your eyelid, like how droopy your eyelids are. So like, I made my character look blazed out of his mind. And I just think that's like a funny, like, way to know your community kind of detail. Yeah. You're a drug dealer. Your uncle is a drug dealer too, and he gets arrested. Whatever. Something happens very early on. Anyway, like, you end up having to take over the business, and you have to flee. So you're in this new city. You don't have anything, and you have to like start your business back up. One thing I think is fascinating about this game, where I was like, that's a really good detail. You guys know what stop and frisk is? Like, cops can just they can just stop you on the street and for suspicion of whatever. Right. Stop and frisk is in this game. Like, if you have weed on you, like, you're gonna get arrested, but you can hide it. Like, you can choose what to cover up with your hand when they're searching you or whatever. But like, I saw the cop coming at me from across the street, and I still had my car, so I stashed the weed in the car right as he got to me. So I didn't have any weed on me. But yeah, if you get caught with weed, you get arrested.
And then what happens?
I'm a good drug dealer, so I didn't get arrested. Nice. I'll let you know, because Lord knows I will get arrested, because we've heard how long it took me to get fucking not even just to the dead body in Disco Elysium, which I will get back to at some point.
You gotta get back. Maybe it'll be like Oblivion, where like the camera zooms in and it's like citizen.
Yeah,
and they take you to the dungeon.
So yeah, Schedule 1, like, I'm still growing weed right now. My understanding is you kind of become an overlord of, like, you kind of become a drug emperor or something in this. It's in early access, so it has its share of bugs. Audio design's really good. The music is fun. And they have this day-night cycle, which is why I kind of compared it to Bugsnax. Bugsnax is like each day, and then like things happen the next day. So the way that they push the narrative forward is through this day-night cycle. Okay. Another thing about the cops, there's a curfew in the town that you're in, at least the town I'm in right now. So it's like, you can only do things till 9 p.m. If you're on the streets after 9 p.m., between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., you can get arrested. So, like, mild spoilers, but like, I discovered that my RV had been trashed, but it was 4 a.m. when I discovered it, and I had to walk all the way back to the motel in town without the cops seeing me. Wow. And it becomes this like stealth game at times, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, when in doubt, just run away. It's my advice to people playing that game. But so far I haven't been arrested. I am now growing weed in my motel room, which seems like a bad idea.
Right.
It's really funny because the cops were chasing me one time, and I like ran into my hotel room, and I could hear them outside my hotel, like they're like the like the walkie-talkie noise or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, they're right outside. Damn. But like they like forgot who I was by the time I came out. So I thought that was funny. You also can like open and close the blinds to your hotel room. So it's like when I ran in, I shut the blinds so they couldn't see my weed growing. It is like this line of sight aspect to it where like the cops see you and they'll like beeline towards you. But I really thought like including stop and frisk was a really, really good detail that like it's stuff like that I think makes this game unique and interesting. And yeah, like the gameplay loop of like, hey, you're growing weed, you got to go to the store, you got to buy soil, you have to buy a watering can, you have to water your plants, right? You have to have a grow light. I think it's the best drug dealer simulator I've ever played.
Have you played many?
Yeah. They're all like kind of like Prison Architect, you know? They're not.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They're not like immersive like this. I think choosing to make this first person, I think makes it more immersive. Like even like when you're using the watering can, you're holding it with the mouse, but you hit A and D to tilt it like on the keyboard.
Wow.
And there's like specific spots on the plant that you have to in the pot that you have to water. You have to trim your buds. So there's like a weed trimmer that you have to buy. Yeah, it's just whoever made this game understands drug culture a lot.
Maybe a little too much, it sounds like.
And there's a huge ass warning. Too, right? There's a huge ass warning when you start the game that says, the game developer TVGS does not condone the manufacturing, trade, or use of illegal drugs. So like their lawyers were on it. So yeah, I really like this game, guys. It's as of right now, I would say it's my early access game of the year.
Nice. Oh. I wanted to piggyback on this and say it does look so fun. I bought this. You really need a mouse.
Yeah, no controller support as of yet. This does seem like a game that would benefit from that. Like, I understand why it uses the mouse and keyboard, and obviously it's a very small team, single dev. So maybe they'll add it. This is an early access game, but yeah, it has no deck support and it has no controller support right now.
Yeah. I mean, it ran like it booted up fine, but like I couldn't do anything.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you can run on deck, but if the input doesn't work, who cares? And nothing about the game makes me think it would be impossible to do that. I just think it's a scope limitation from a very small studio, and give them time, let them cook. Right. But yeah, really fun. If you want to be Walter White, this is your game.
Cool.
And it's just fun. Like I think it's it's an interesting thing. Like just the universe they've made, the way that the systems interact. I think that's all cool. I love games with day and night cycles. So it's like it's like Animal Crossing if you just broke bad. like it's like that. Nice. The first person. Anyway, really, really, really liking Schedule 1. And then it wouldn't be a Shack Together podcast if I didn't tell you about this racing game I've been playing, Joe.
I just saw something drop in the Discord. What is this? Win number 12?
I won again. I've won my 12th race in F-Zero 99. Lucas, you'll remember you were here a year ago. It took me about 5 months to win my first race in that game. In the last year, I have now won 12 races.
It's amazing. One a month.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually... If you look at it, they've been stacking up in recent months. This is, I think there was a 1 week, like the last time I announced one was on episode 56. And then I also announced a win on episode 55. So I took 1 week off of winning, or 3 days of which I was in New York for that Switch 2 reveal. But, literally, Bill told me, he's like, Friday, I was like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. You know, it was a long week. Last week was a very long week for me. I hadn't traveled in a while. So on Friday, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get out of here. And he's like, you're going to win at F-Zero 99 tonight. And I did. So this is kind of funny. But yeah, I figured this is a good time to look back at my career, right, guys? We're at a milestone.
You got
tomorrow, the day that we're recording this on April 10th, which is actually Captain Falcon's canonical birthday.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I've been seeing F-Zero Twitter today. Everyone's celebrating that. But tomorrow is a Shaq News holiday. It's called Victory in F-Zero 99 Day. We are taking the anniversary of my first win and turning it into a holiday. So yeah, wow. That is how you know that we are a good video game website. But yeah, let's look at some of my career. I have raced in 3,026 races. All of my races have been with the Fire Stingray. Of those, I have won 12 times. I have voted for the winning track, because, before the race, you vote between two tracks. I have voted for the winning track 74% of the time.
Interesting.
I have 1,091 KOs. I have defeated my rivals 4,908 times. So, you have 4 rivals per race. I have boosted 17,116 times.
Jeez.
I have participated in 3,035 super boosts. That's the Skyway. I have engaged in 19,066 spin attacks. I have collected 89,145 super sparks. I've earned 7,969 lucky bumper points. I have crashed out 953 times. So yeah, highest rank by machine is obviously it's 1 for me in my F-Zero 99 career. Specifically in F-Zero 99 mode, the titular mode of the game, I have won 9 times out of 1,811 attempts.
Wait, what's that stat one more time? That went over my head.
F-Zero 99 is not just the name of the game, it's the titular mode. It's the one-off race. It's on the left side of the menu.
Okay.
I have played that 1,811 times, of which I have won 9 races.
Got it. So the other 3 victories, where do they come from?
Other modes. I'll get to that here in a second.
Okay.
I have not won a Grand Prix. I have engaged in 308 Grand Prix races. That's a total of 92,712 leaderboard points. My highest leaderboard rank is 1,448 in the world. I haven't been able to crack the top 1,000. I'll be honest, I might just be too much of an adult to do that. The people who are competing in Grand Prix are doing them every day of the week, and sometimes I just don't get around to doing that. That's a little harder. I maybe if you guys can just give me a month, or if I just get a week off and all I do is play F-Zero 99, I might have a chance of cracking the top 1,000 or top 100. Someone on my feed was number 1 last week, and I was super jealous of them.
Wow.
Because that they have the amount of time to do that. So yeah, to answer your question, Joe, team battle career ranks, I have placed first in a team race 1 time. I've had 128 team races, of which my team has won 30 times. But I've been in first place in a team race 1 time.
Okay.
Pro tracks, I have not won at all. And then classic career. So I want to say I've won twice in team. Or no, sorry. I won in classic 1 time. So I haven't won in pro track mode, but I have 1 win in classic. And I want to say I have 2 wins in team. So that's where the other 3 are, Joe.
It's all coming together.
And then by all means, let's break it down track to track. I have won twice on Mute City 1. This is in the Night League. I've won 1 time on Big Blue. I've won 1 time on Sand Ocean. I've won 1 time on Red Canyon 1, and that's that would be the standard tracks. On the mirror tracks, I have won 3 times on Mute City in Mirror. That was the first track I won on. So back on April 11th of last year, Mute City 1 Mirror is the first. I think that's the track I'm best at, because even last night I placed 2nd in it. There's something about how that's set up that just suits my style. I've got a first place win on Mute City 2 Mirror as well, and I have a win on Red Canyon Mirror. I have a win on Mute City 3 Mirror, and I think that is it for that. And then classic tracks, I placed first on Big Blue, and like I mentioned, the team ones. So that's a breakdown of my records in the game. I am currently ranked S11, and I have 12 wins. and I am sitting on I'm a level 52 player with 1 gold star. So yeah, that's your update on just my career in F-Zero 99. I think I'm racing the best I ever have, like right now. So that's an exciting feeling. I do want to shout out some of my rivals because I haven't done that recently. Sunshine, who I beat. If I don't say I lost to them, just assume I beat them. Someone was just named you in all caps. I beat them.
Nice.
Let's see. A lot of Japanese people. Shout out to all the Japanese racers out there. Trying to see if there's anything. Oh yeah, Nobody, but it was spelled N-O-H, body. Thought that was pretty neat. Beat them. And I'm ranking with these people that are like S40, like they're super high. Any other rivals I want to get to? Hans Worst.
Okay.
Played him a lot the last few weeks. I'm like starting to run into people like, because we're of similar ranks, I'm starting to run into them a lot more.
It's a smaller pool.
Yeah. I think that's just been the case. Dim Sum Daddy. Could not forget Dim Sum Daddy. Want to shout out Dim Sum Daddy.
Nice.
Silly stuff here in the F-Zero 99 world. Oh, I'm Chinese.
Just
someone I raced.
Yep.
That's just someone, their name is I'm Chinese. Spaceman. Shout out to Spaceman. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I was gonna do something ridiculous, like here are 99 of my favorite rival names, but I was like, I don't have time for this. The people don't want to hear that. But yeah, favorite game ever. Still playing it all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone in the community is kind of hoping that we get some sort of a spring event, but I have a feeling they're going to do something around the launch of the Switch 2. So maybe it'll be more of that festival event.
Yeah.
But this is the time right now, April, to do like the spring event where it would be like rainy tracks or something.
Right.
But something tells me that the devs that worked on F-Zero 99 might be working on something else right now. Like, I'm just saying, like, we just got the news about Mario Kart World, right? And it's this massive online racing game. Well, I know 4 people who deserve to be inducted to the Shack News Hall of Fame when they're eligible that coded the net code for F-Zero 99, which I'm pretty sure when you look back is going to be like the beta version of what Mario Kart World's net code ends up being. Because, you know, they put together a game where 99 people could actually race.
Sure.
And I think the big selling point for Kart World is there's 24 racers, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Congratulations to the F-Zero 99 devs on just another solid year. And that game will be launching on Nintendo Switch Online on Switch 2.
Nice.
I don't think it has any performance update. I don't think it really needs one.
Maybe it'll get 120.
No, I don't think so. I like when I played Metroid Prime 4 in 120 frames per second, I looked at the person next to me who probably didn't even work for Nintendo, and I said, please make an F-Zero game in 120 frames per second. Because, yeah, that just seems obvious, right?
Yeah.
That would be great. But I doubt that F-Zero 99 gets any kind of an update. I think that game's built, and they may support it with some events from time to time, but I think it's largely that team has to be moving on to something else. Be it Kart World or something else that Treehouse would be doing. Hard to say. They're very busy over at Nintendo right now. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. We'll get to the other thing I've been playing in the news because I want to shit all over it, but not now.
Hell yeah.
Well, you're going to be playing one more game.
Oh yeah.
But first, we'll take a quick break. Asif, Lucas, welcome to Donkey Kong 60-Farce. Donkey Kong 60-Farce is a little game where I will read you trivia about the storied entry in the Donkey Kong franchise, Donkey Kong 64, and you will tell me if it is true or farcical. Okay. That is your only option to answer. We will go back and forth. You don't have to buzz in.
Okay.
We'll alternate. Between the two of you, I believe you get 8 questions each. True or farce? Asif, you're up first. Are you ready?
Banana. Yes.
That's yes. Okay. Here we go. Oh, and this is in the spirit of Donkey Kong Bonanza. So I had Donkey Kong on the brain. So here we go.
Obviously.
As one does.
As one does. First question. While bug testing the final release, developers at Rare encountered a game-breaking bug when playing without the expansion pack, the N64 expansion pack. However, the bug disappeared whenever the expansion pack was plugged in. Is this true or false?
False.
Incorrect. That is true. That is truthful trivia on Donkey Kong 64. That's how it went. The story is that this bug was found. It was poorly documented. The bug was not well documented. And when the devs went to go and address sort of the hearsay of the bug, as if it was something discussed at a meeting, but not well documented, they couldn't recreate it. And that's because
they had the expansion pack in.
Yes.
That makes sense. I thought the game required it when it shipped.
I will say nothing. Lucas.
That's fine.
I just don't want to give any answers away.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas. Donkey Kong 64 introduces a character named K. Rool Jr., who is the son of the primary antagonist, King K. Rool. Correct. Where did your confidence come from?
I like Donkey Kong.
Hell yeah. Lisa, I know Donkey Kong.
So apparently this is true.
You could have just said banana too, Lucas.
I will accept banana as you saying true. That will stay. K. Rool Jr. is a character in the franchise, but only shows up in Donkey Kong Quest.
Yeah, Diddy's Conquest.
Diddy's Conquest, excuse me. So not in this game.
Donkey Kong Country 2.
There you go. Asif. Donkey Kong 64 introduces a power-up that enables players to transform into a giant Kong for a short duration.
No. False.
Try again.
False? True?
Just want to remind you we're playing Donkey Kong 60-Farce.
Farce.
Correct. you know I like to get semantic. Come on.
Okay, I was like, God, is he telling me it's true? I was like, okay, never mind.
So it's banana or farce.
Okay, got it.
Lucas, you're up next.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was no such power-up. Lucas.
No.
In the game, Donkey Kong 64, you get to play the classics Donkey Kong from 1981 and Jetpack from 1983 during different stages of Donkey Kong 64.
True.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Easter eggs before there were Easter eggs.
It's just fan service.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get 100%, you had to clear Donkey Kong's, I think, the first 4 levels, and then hit some score threshold in Jetpack. And it was so hard.
I was going to say, that sounds so hard.
Yeah.
Asif, here we go.
I did not 100% that game.
Nintendo only sold Donkey Kong 64 with the N64 expansion pack included in one SKU. You could not buy just the video game.
Are you talking about launch or in general? Like at launch of the game?
I'm writing this in general.
Yeah. I'm going to say banana.
My research suggests banana as well.
Yeah.
So you get the point. If someone wants to say, 5 years later, they started to print it without the... All right, I didn't know that.
I don't think that's the case, though, because I think it was one of those situations where it was the best way to get the expansion pack was to buy that game. So a lot of people bought it for that reason.
Yeah,
well,
that
great.
tracks.
Banana it is.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas. Donkey Kong 64 includes a minigame where players must collect bananas while riding on a flying carpet.
False.
Just try one more time.
Farce.
Correct. Nicely done.
Thank you.
For some reason,
awesome.
I'm thinking about the elephant in Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong Racing when you say magic carpet. Anyway.
You are correct to have that image. I saw such an image while researching this game.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Diddy Kong Racing is awesome, by the way.
I saw much footage and screenshots from it while putting this together, and I had the same thought. Asif, the spirit of Wrinkly Kong from Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, which was published in 96, appears in every stage's lobby, and Wrinkly gives you hints to complete the levels. Banana or farce?
I'm gonna say banana.
That is correct. That is a banana.
That's like Cranky Kong's wife.
I actually don't know.
I think.
I believe so.
There's a lot of like relationship lore.
The family tree
Yeah.
of the Kongs is one of intense debate to this day. Because, like, who is Donkey Kong Jr.?
Right.
Is he DK's dad? Or is that DK?
There's a field in the Donkey Kong wiki that I was reading there's like a dedicated field in that like stat table that wikis have for like the relationship. So like it's like a very core to the to the canon.
It is. And like in the movie, Cranky Kong is DK's son or dad, right? There's no DK Jr. in the picture at all.
That's right.
So
that'll be the sequel.
It's one of my greatest existential crises is who is Donkey Kong Jr.? And why was he so obsessed with math in the 80s, Lucas? What was his deal?
That is a great question.
Anyway, sorry, Joe.
Lucas, you're up. Right. And the question is, Donkey Kong 64 features a hidden character named Princess Banna, who introduces the player to a series of secret bonus levels closely resembling the Mushroom Kingdom, serving as a tribute to Mario 64.
That is farce.
You are correct. That
was a very elaborate ruse.
Completely made up by me. Awesome.
That sounded like, like when you make up a story for how you were caught in traffic and that's why you're late. Like the amount of detail and arbitrary detail you included in that, I was like, that can't be real.
Well, there's arbitrary detail in some of the true ones too.
For sure.
Some of the banana ones.
But like Lucas, I'm pretty sure you picked up on the same thing I was. I was like,
it was elaborate.
Yeah, it's like banana.
Get it? Because it's not peach. I didn't want to say banana because that seems too simple.
Okay. You got it. I get it now.
Asif, the yellow cartridge copies of Donkey Kong 64 are exclusive to the North American region.
Ooh.
Seems banana to me.
Banana it is. Well done. Well done. Lucas, Donkey Kong 64 first established that Tiny Kong and Dixie Kong are, in fact, sisters.
That's a good question. I want to say farce. I'm going to go with my gut.
Your gut has failed you, and it's fitting because your gut and your gut biome really could use the nutrients of a banana. So you chose wrong.
Indeed.
High in potassium.
Yeah. Your microbiome was the term I was looking for. Asif, Donkey Kong 6.
Whose parents? Who's the parents of Dixie?
I wouldn't even begin to try and tell you the answer to that. I don't know.
Anyway, sorry. I can't stop thinking about that family tree now.
Perhaps we wouldn't want to know is also the scary part. It could be nightmarish.
No, I need a compendium the size of the Zelda timeline for this. I need to put it on my coffee table. It should just have a giant ass banana on the cover. Anyway,
we start finding evidence of cheating and incest. Here we go.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong 64, Asif. Donkey Kong 64 was originally conceived as a new intellectual property for fans of Banjo-Kazooie before Nintendo gave Rare their blessing to use DK.
Banana.
Incorrect. I made that up.
Damn.
That was a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was solid. You tricked me.
Lucas, in the opening theme song to Donkey Kong 64, a rap song called the DK Rap plays in the opening, and during this song, there is a lyric that goes as follows: "One hell of a guy, banana or farce?"
That's banana.
That is true.
Well, peanuts.
Pineapples, shells.
I know the whole fucking song.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a question, but just interesting that DK Rap found its way to Melee, I believe, or Brawl. Which one?
May have been both, but it was definitely in Melee.
It was in Melee.
And they changed the lyric to "one heck of a guy" in that version. Go Nintendo.
Also used in the Mario movie and did not give credit to the original composer.
Right.
Which is very lame.
Perhaps they'll rectify that with the sequel.
Justice for Kirkhope.
Yeah, and he's so goddamn talented. They should celebrate. Yeah, we'll get it. That's a whole other story.
Also, Donkey Kong 64 features an adventure mode where players can control a character named Banana Joe, a quick-witted talking banana.
No, farce. That can't be real. That can't be real.
Correct.
Banana Joe. I'm like, look, that game is vast in its scope, so I was like, maybe there's an adventure mode, but Banana Joe, no.
There is an adventure mode. There is no Banana Joe.
Yeah, exactly. That's the nuance of your trickiness.
Incredible.
Lucas, Donkey Kong 64 was the first game to feature online multiplayer on the Nintendo 64.
Farce.
Correct. I don't know what the real answer is, but that is false. Or farce. Farcical. Asif, your final question. The level Fungi Forest features a daytime and nighttime setting in which certain areas can only be accessed depending on the time of day.
I mean, sounds... I don't think... Farce?
I'm sorry, incorrect. That is a true statement. Ahead of its time.
That game really was ahead of its time. The only thing I hated about it was that he had to switch characters to get the different bananas.
Yeah, it was annoying.
That should have been... They could have fixed that, Lucas, with like that GTA style of jumping between like Franklin and the other characters. Like, if they ever remake this game, which they definitely won't, that would be my only complaint. It's like, can you just make it easier to change which monkey you are?
I'm sure they would. That's I have never played it. I've heard that exact complaint.
Yeah, it makes it so much longer of a game than it needs to be. A lot of backtracking, unnecessary, but yeah.
Just like the Metroidvania Lucas reviewed. Okay, final question. Lucas, your final question is, Donkey Kong 64 has a secret ending that reveals Donkey Kong was actually dreaming the whole time.
Farce.
Correct, sir. And with that, and not just that, you are the victor with 7 points to Asif's 5. Well done, Lucas. You saw through the farcities.
Impressive.
And you received this golden banana. Well done.
Impressive DK knowledge.
Thank you. Yeah. I went and looked up Tiny Kong, so I was trying to figure out what went wrong there. I kept thinking cousin. It's because she's Kitty Kong's cousin. So I remembered a piece of it, but it got twisted up.
Shame on you. You should know that kind of thing.
I know.
Well, that does it for Donkey Kong 60-Farce. Thanks for playing. Of course, we have story time coming up, so I will pass the mic to Asif.
I'm sorry. I'm just deep diving into the family tree of the Donkey Kong. Sorry. Yeah, we'll be right back with story time, so stay tuned. Welcome to Storytime. Let's dive into the latest stories from the past week. It's Storytime Previews, which is trademarked. It's a preview palooza from your friends at Shack Newsa. First up, Monster Train 2 returns with its sights set for heaven. Heaven is under siege, and it'll take a demonic train filled with hellish monsters to save the day. It's a roguelike deck builder. Ozzie Mejia got to try it out. This is a Devolver Digital published joint. So I think it's probably got a little more attention. I don't know.
Did you play the first one?
No, I didn't. Did you?
Briefly. Yeah, briefly.
I am not really super into this genre.
Same.
Like, Slay the Spire, like, I know a lot of people are, like, obsessed with it, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And, like, when it comes to, like, the more dungeon crawly stuff, I really liked the first Darkest Dungeon more than a lot of these games, but that game's, like, oppressively hard, which, like, all roguelikes kind of run into that, but, yeah. I don't know. Ozzie seemed to like it. This game comes out in May. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to dwell on it too much. Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Most fearsome enemy may be yourself. This looks like another adventure-y battle kind of game.
Soulsborne-esque.
It's like Soulsborne-esque, but it's also like Black Myth Wukong-esque, where, you know, you got big-ass environments and enemies to deal with. It's not a boss rush, though, so it is definitely more of an adventure game. It looks good, and yeah, it's that Soulsborne mechanic set in a different setting. I think we're going to keep seeing this happen because Elden Ring sold a gajillion units, and now it's going to sell on Switch too, before the Duskbloods comes out. So yeah, this takes place in the late Ming Dynasty in China. Just a lot of afflicted enemies and like kind of, I don't know, supernatural zombie-like kind of enemies in this game. Demonic. But yeah, we're seeing more games take place in China these days, and I think that's cool. Because that's a huge population of people over there that are probably interested in having stories from their culture told too. But yeah, just a preview. That game is... I don't know when it's coming out. But Ozzie played this at a private session at GDC.
Coming to Game Pass on day one, I know that.
Oh, goody.
And I learned a lot about the late Ming Dynasty in another game I reviewed for the site. And it was a very messed up time.
Yes.
Say the least.
Was that detective game? Is that?
No, this was it was called The Hungry Lamb. It was like a visual novel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a messed up time in the economy there, and the way that they were handling revolutions was super messed up. Yeah. Not the best history in some of those stories. On to the next one. The Midnight Walk. Ozzie previewed it. He says, is a horrifying clay sculpted stroll from the makers of Lost in Random.
Ooh.
It's got that art style, Lucas, that like when you saw Lost in Random, you're like, wow, that looks cool. This is another game that just, they got the aesthetic for their vibe down. Yeah. This is an early build that Ozzie got to see played by the development team. So this is a hands-off demo that was done via Discord. Just probably not the best way to show off such a visually impressive game over Discord video, because it sometimes looks like potato. But yeah, it seems pretty cool.
It looks not extremely scary. This one is off the jail list.
This is definitely too scary looking. This is where realism will scare people away. But yeah, this game is coming out. It's also going to be a VR game, Joe, so if you really want to poop your pants.
Oh my God.
I got the way for you to do that. It's going to be on PSVR 2, and it's going to be supported on Steam VR. So Steam, PlayStation 5 game. But Ozzie saw a preview build of the PC being played. Looks kind of cool if you want to just be scared. And then huge fail on the part of Shack News last week. We didn't even talk about this last week. Doom the Dark Ages. Ozzie got to play it for a while. He got to be the giant mech, and he got to fly around on a dragon. I'm jealous of Ozzie.
My goodness.
It does look fun. Is it me, or is there less hype around this game than the last two Dooms?
I would agree with that.
Like,
hard to tell.
I just don't hear about it as much. And granted, like, the places where you would hear about it are less active, right? Most of the people have left Twitter. And,
yeah.
But yeah, like, I'm excited for this game. It looks cool, but at the same time, it's weird. It's a weird setting to see the Doomslayer in, because so frequently it's the future, right? It's a dystopian future. This is like medieval times with like Lovecraftian style enemies. I guess what I'm saying is I still think this should be a Quake game.
That makes sense.
Like, if at the end of this somehow you meet Ranger and it becomes a Quake Doom like Nexus point, that would be cool. Because we'll get to the other story later in the show of why I'm bringing up Quake here, but this would be a cool thing to do with the Quake IP. I don't know if it necessarily had to be Doom, is all I'm saying. But
yeah, I haven't really been a fan of Doom's new interest in lore with a capital L.
No, like, the story for Doom is one sentence, and the Doomslayer killed some shit because that's what he does. That's the plot of Doom.
Yeah, leave the lore to Donkey Kong, folks. Come on.
Yeah, leave it. I'm not sitting here like, oh, who's Doom Guy's dad? No, don't care. I don't care if they stole Doom Guy's bananas either. I don't care. Just let me kill shit.
Yeah, we went from like he breaks the thing in the elevator because it's talking too much to like angels and demons have been fighting for thousands of years.
Yeah, like he throws away the tablet in Doom 2016, right? Like he is actively anti-story in those games. So for them really to be betting on Doom's story, like, I would go point out that movie with The Rock. We don't need Doom's story. We just need cool shit to do in Doom. And I will say this, it looks like we have that here. Like, the gameplay looks good. You're going to give me a chainsaw shield. I'm going to use the chainsaw shield. That sounds fun. So I'm not too worried about any of that. They are altering how the glory kill mechanic works. So it is a little different. The animations seem to be different. So that could change the pace of play up a lot. And it does seem to be less of a jungle gym inspired, or whatever they call it now, play area inspired gameplay that was in Doom Eternal. There's a lot of platforming and stuff in that. Just let us get back to killing a ton of shit, and that it does seem like they're going to let us do that here. But at the same time, it feels like this is Jerry Bruckheimer's Doom. Like, it's just big ass action movie now, which is fine. But like, don't make me try to care about the story.
Yep.
Like, I don't. and I never will. But yeah, let's see what happens. We're almost a month away from this game coming out.
Sweet.
I'm really curious if this ends up on Switch 2 at Switch 2 launch. That would have been a good thing to have. Yeah.
Probably soon.
But like id Software has ported over basically everything to the Switch. So you have, I think, Eternal's even on Switch.
Yeah, and those ports are like renowned.
They're really good. Yeah. Like 2016 Doom runs very well on Switch 1. Mm-hmm. But like if you can get those like with Switch 2 editions, man.
Oh yeah.
And like that could be fun. So we'll see. But that was Previews. Shout out to everyone who previewed the things. That's probably like the tail end of our GDC coverage now, but we do have PAX East coming up.
Yeah.
Next month, I want to say.
I'm excited.
Which good for them on like not fucking having an event in Boston in February anymore. Like May, definitely a better time of year for the food trucks outside and all that crap. Like it was just
the weather last year was nasty.
Yeah, I went to PAX East in 2018. We had this very tiny booth there, and it was hell. Like, I was like, never again. I'm good. I might be aging out of being on assignment, you guys. But after 20 years of being in games media, I think that's okay. But on to Reviewsa, which is the Reviews Palooza trademarked by Shacknewsa. Let's just get to it. Blueprints.
Yeah.
This might be a game of the year. Like, people are very, very, very excited about this. It's a combination of roguelike genre with puzzle game mechanics, extremely well-designed puzzles. I think it's interesting. The roguelike progression is as much in your head as it is in the game. Interesting. There's secrets everywhere. And there's a lot of puzzle solutions that are a good puzzle game has to make you feel stupid, but at the same time, when you succeed, you have to feel awesome. Yeah, and that is such a delicate balance, but they nailed it in this. Ozzie did complain that the sound was a bit too ambient and atmospheric, but kind of boring. And he ran into some complex puzzles, but and then you can't run in the game. There's no run. You're just walking around.
Maybe they'll patch that in.
Yeah, maybe it's not necessary. Yeah, but like I guess for speed running purposes, they're gonna want shit like that.
I heard a quote, and I'm blanking on the show, but it was several hosts on a podcast talking about, and they had all played this game, and one of them had only played it for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the other person had played it for like 40 hours. And the person who barely played it said, I feel like I've only seen a couple, I feel like I've seen all these rooms, but maybe I've only encountered like 2-3 puzzles. They were kind of frustrated. Like, I don't know where to spend my time. And I remember feeling that way in The Witness when I first booted it up. It's like, what am I supposed to be putting my time into? It's like, and the host that had poured dozens of hours into it said, no, you encountered 100 puzzles if you saw all those rooms and you just don't know it yet. And that was like, I have to buy this. This sounds so cool.
Yeah. That is, speaks to the puzzle design and how it interweaves with the level design.
Right.
Yeah. I think comparing it to The Witness makes a lot of sense too, Joe. That is a game that like, it's almost obtuse when you first play.
It's so obtuse. Yeah.
You're like, wait a second. What the fuck am I doing? And then you're like, oh, you start lining up these like line of sight puzzles and all these things.
Yep.
Perspective is such an important thing in games like this. So it's like, even if you're in the room, you're not looking at it the right way. Right. I love stuff like that.
Yeah. It's so cool.
So this is exciting. It got a 9 out of 10 here at Shack News. Got a 10 at a lot of other places. Everyone seems to like it. I have it. Hopefully I can. We were lucky enough for Raw Fury to provide us with some keys. This is definitely, it's been added to our Shack News must playlist, so we are giving it strong consideration for Game of the Year, Best Puzzle Game, whatever categories it would be eligible for, but also for Game of the Year.
Sweet.
So excited to dive into it. This it seems like there's a couple of games coming out on my PC where I could lose 100 hours really quickly. So I'm already deep in Schedule 1, so I haven't jumped into Blueprints just yet. But everything I've been talking to Ozzie about it for the past week, and everything Ozzie said, I'm like, oh god, this sounds like right up my alley.
Yep.
Right up your alley too, Joe. It looks cool as hell though. I'm down. Probably the best review of the week. Sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just say want to nominate it for funniest discourse of the year so far. Somebody called it Metroid Brainia. There was like a full day of like agonizing over that on Blue Sky, and that was very funny.
That's pretty good. Nice.
You gotta love it when one of those Blue Sky skeets gets going. Skeets all over the place. It's great.
Just doesn't stop.
Huge explosion of engagement. Ozzie reviewed another game that's not so good, and it also shadow dropped, I believe. Was this the Switch 2 Direct, or was it the Switch 1 Direct? I can't even remember.
I think it was the 1.
Yeah, this shadow dropped the week before the Switch 2 reveal. And it's a Disney Disney Villains Cursed Cafe.
Yeah.
It's it's interesting that it just dropped. But I don't know. I think we're at the. I was happy to see Disney start licensing IP out to these other devs so that they can make games and not do it all in house. But now, I think we're getting to the point where they're pushing stuff too much again. Ozzie said, "For what it is, Disney Villains Cursed Cafe is fine. It's a simple visual novel that gives some extra flair to some tried and true Disney baddies. Certainly had a good chat with more than a few of them, but it wasn't something that could hold my attention for very long, and it was made worse if I felt like I made a mistake and had to blow another 5 to 10 minutes to redo the day. Some people are made for the daily grind of Potionista work, but maybe I'm just not one of them. We're in this era, Lucas. I know you've been reviewing a lot of these this year. Like we're getting great visual novels, or like interactive stories, and it's starting to like. This is clearly a trend. Like Disney was like, "Oh, we can do this, right?" And the answer is, yeah, you can do it, but maybe not to the level of quality of some of these other ones. And like, I know I was talking smack about Omega 6, the combat mechanic, but the actual storytelling and art in that is outstanding, or solid. And I think that's what we're going to see with some of these games. But yeah, this is
what's interesting, I think, here is Bloom Digital is the developer. Are you familiar?
I saw that they did Later Daters and Long Story before this.
Okay. So then you've heard of those games or no?
I've heard of Later Daters.
Okay. Yeah, it just seemed like a kind of a low profile dev to get the Disney contract. I was surprised.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I don't want to shit on Disney for experimenting like this, but this just seems like a miss. This is not a miss. Sam loves Commandos Origins. He called it Courageous, Dutiful, Glorious Bastards with an E, reference to the Inglourious Bastards.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
This is that like isometric style kind of tactical strategy,
like Desperados. What are we talking?
Yeah.
I see vision cones.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's intense real-time strategy, but it has like a sandbox element too. But I think the Desperados 3 comparison is fair. Like it's similar perspective. But this is a reboot of a old franchise, right?
It has that look. I'm honestly not familiar with it.
It is.
Look it up.
Sam said it feels like the classic challenging Commandos games. Intense real-time strategy. Command time is a valuable tool for synchronized action. So that's kind of like bullet time in this. I think Desperados had something similar where like time would slow down. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game.
Yeah, like certain characters slowed, I think.
Yeah. So they have a similar kind of mechanic in this. He said there's lengthy missions with complex layouts. The environments are huge and gorgeous. It's a very good looking game, and
Looks
the lighting
really good.
and stuff is solid. Positive. It's always morally acceptable to punch Nazis. I agree with that. So benefit for that. He did say that they removed some of the gameplay mechanics from earlier games, and that was a negative. And he did have some mission results, screen issues, and animation issues, but hopefully they can patch those out. Like I said, Sam really liked it, gave it a 9 out of 10, said it had the heart and soul of the franchise in it, but it's definitely the best presentation we've seen in this series. And it's such a... Like, we're getting to this point now, guys, where it's like some of these reboots are so old that, like, young gamers aren't going to know. Like, they're not going to care. They're going to think it's a new game. You know what I mean?
Well,
And that's
I'm
fine.
not even young, and I don't know this.
No, I know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even about that anymore. It's like, is the game good? Like, who cares about the nostalgia aspect?
Totally.
And I think the answer here is yes, it is good. But if you're also someone who remembers this series or likes games like Desperados 3 or what was the trying to remember this other one. It was like more of a sci-fi one that the same devs did. Anyway.
They did a pirate one. Is that what you're thinking?
That's right. Yeah. Anyway.
Shadow Gambit, I think it was called.
Shadow Gambit. Thank you. I kept thinking Shadow Labyrinth, which I know is not the answer. That's that god-awful Pac-Man game that they're making.
Yep.
Lucas,
rest in peace to Me Games.
Lucas, did you see that shit? Shadow Labyrinth?
I sure did.
And you know how it's literally just the show Secret Levels episode turned into a game?
It looks like it's got a little more juice to it than that did. Because
I know, but
yeah, it's interesting.
I felt duped and betrayed by Secret Level. I thought they were making original content. Nope. It was just an extended trailer for a game. Now, Harada from Tekken is working on it, so I'm going to give him his grace, because he is great. Grit and Valor, 1949. We're going to need a lot more of that with these tariffs coming, I'll tell you what. No. Sorry, guys. Strategy game. Not nearly as good as the last one we were talking about. Progression takes too long and relies too much on grinding. That's an instant no for me. Thoughtless narrative setup, more than a few dud maps, not enough methods to vary how missions play out. That said, there are some good maps in the game and meaningful in-mission power-ups, and some creative strategies required to progress through it. But, you just look at it, the scope of these levels is much smaller than the previous game we're talking about. It kind of has it's not as small as like an Into the Breach map, but it has a similar grid style and even perspective on the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is like Final Fantasy Tactics size.
Mm-hmm.
Floating island in the sky.
When is that gonna get game?
That game, you mean the one that's been like leaked to high heaven and all but confirmed by everyone that it absolutely exists? Yeah.
When is that actually
hanging out?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a Jeff Awards thing, or I don't know? We'll find out.
It could have been the past 3 years. Okay.
Anyway, we all want Final Fantasy Tactics Remake or Final Fantasy Tactics 2 or whatever. We don't want Grit and Valor. 6 out of 10 from Josh. He did not like it. We already talked about SaGa Frontier 2, which remastered, which Lucas reviewed and was playing. And then, I think this is an important one. South of Midnight review from Donovan Erskine gave it an 8 out of 10. This is an awesome story. I think it's cool that we're like having a story with like a black female protagonist in the South with this spooky like narrative and like supernatural shit happening in the deep South of America. Like all of this is cool. The art style is gorgeous.
Yep.
I think it looks really solid. Donovan liked it, gave it an 8 out of 10. The only negative, and this is a negative, the combat and progression is just kind of generic to him. He pointed out having a gothic fantasy in the deep South is such a uniquely weird setting. Mm-hmm. Hazel is a great protagonist, and the story was well paced with heartfelt themes and characters, and that stop motion animation is just striking. It's that like stop motion mixed with this like hyper fantasy kind of art. It just looks cool. Like I can't look away from the gameplay when I'm watching it. I haven't had a chance to play this, but this is right now I'd say it's the leader in the clubhouse for best Xbox game of the year. If you're an Xboxer, I'm sure this is on Game Pass, right?
I think it is.
I believe so. Yeah.
So try it out. And that was Reviewza on Anuza. Nintendo Switch 2 won't have an achievement or trophy system. That's not really that surprising. Hollow Knight Silksong is also coming to the original Switch. That's not that surprising, because Hollow Knight ran extremely well on Switch. Hades 2 will be a Switch console exclusive at launch, so probably a year of console exclusivity for that.
That's a big deal.
That is. It was at the Switch 2 event. I didn't stop to play it because I've already played Hades 2 on PC, and I was like, I had to try something I hadn't tried before. But from watching other people play it, the gameplay looked good. Switch 2 is... The narrative for Switch for the last 5 years has been, it's not powerful enough, it's not powerful enough. Switch 2 is powerful enough. Anyway, Xbox Game Showcase announced for June. So we're getting an Xbox Game Showcase followed by an Outer Worlds 2 Direct. So that's going to be the game that they focus on after the Xbox Game Showcase. Localthunk agrees that Blueprints is awesome, and he's been tweeting about how he wants it to get love at the Jeff Awards and all the other places.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, remember Marathon?
Yes.
Well, it's coming back.
That's my buddies are excited for this.
Okay.
I'm trying to meet them there, but
we'll see. Yeah. We're getting a gameplay reveal this weekend. I know Sam Chandler is excited. He's our resident Bungie fan, and obviously a Destiny 2 expert. Yeah. So we are going to be covering this game. But the gameplay reveal is on Saturday, and I believe we will have a live stream of Sam reacting to it.
Cool.
Sweet.
And now the worst news of the week by far, at least in Newsa, which is trademarked by Shaq News. It's a Newspalooza. This might be one of my better headlines I've written in a few years, guys. This regurgitated AI slop is what Microsoft is doing with the Quake IP. I don't know if you guys saw it over the weekend. Jeff Keighley tweeted out a video of an AI generated Quake demo. It's called Copilot Gaming Experience. So Shaq News, we were founded on Quake. I felt the obligation to at least go in there and play the game. This is the third game that I mentioned at the beginning of the show. I played Quake 2, the AI Copilot Gaming Experience.
Oh boy.
It is so fucking terrible. It's a worse frame rate than my fucking digital equipment computer in 1998 was running at. Like I was running Quake 2 on a fucking Pentium in the fucking Clinton administration at a higher frame rate than this dog shit. This thing that requires God knows how much compute to generate frames via AI and the power of the cloud. No one asked for this. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. This is what they choose to do with the Quake IP. I mentioned it in the Doom section. Like, I want a new Quake game. Or at least don't destroy the greatest esport that you own. Like, they gave up on Quake Pro League. There's just no Quake Pro League. There's a QuakeCon. There is a QuakeCon happening with no Quake tournament for multiple years. So here's what a couple of community members have had to say across the internet. Supreme Chancellor of Esports, Rod Slasher Breslau, said, "Wow, it's dog shit." G-Man chimed in saying, "Is anyone impressed or intrigued by this slop?" No. Night Dive host Miss Slaughter simply requested that Jeff delete this shit in her quote tweet. Adam Butterworth, an audio test engineer at Remedy Games, summed up things perfectly, in my opinion, saying this: disgusting behavior by a company that has laid off 11,900 people in 2 years. There are hundreds, thousands of more angry people who are both bearing Jeff for sharing it and Microsoft for even doing this. It's just solving problems that don't exist. This is not, and if you go back to what Phil Spencer said last year about this Copilot gaming experience, was that they were going to do it for game preservation. How is this game preservation?
What?
This is not game preservation. This is training an AI with an existing game and then generating a much worse AI version of it. Here's some examples. Characters would appear, like enemies would appear in front of me. If I looked to the right and then back at where the enemy was, they'd disappear. There's a point at which the level hallucinated and I couldn't fucking get out of a hallway. I was just running. Everywhere was a wall all of a sudden. The textures are actually shittier than they were in 1998. It's a lower resolution than the game was running in 1998. I had this moment where it froze on me, and then, like when you freeze, like when you're watching an online video, and then it comes back and it shows you all the frames like super fast?
Yep.
That happened. And hey, do you guys remember playing Quake 2 when it had a fucking time limit? No, you don't. There was no fucking 2-minute time limit on Quake 2. It's dog shit.
Jesus.
It's worthless dog shit. And I took an opportunity to plug our game, Joe, because I said, look, if you want to try this web-based AI demo for yourself, it's only available on a browser-based experience. But it would probably be a better use of your time to play Shaq News' first game, Bubbletron, which is also browser-based, but features sound, music, and a more stable FPS performance.
And a punchline. It's got it all.
It's actually funny.
Yeah.
This was just horrible. And it's like the AI bros appeared, right? Because they're like, I have to defend this. And it's like, no, you really don't. And oddly enough, John Carmack defended it, saying it's interesting tech, but it's also dog shit. Anyway, this is what Microsoft's doing with the Quake IP, guys. This.
Incredible.
What was I didn't see the tweet, obviously. What was the tenor of the tweet? Like, look at this tech demo. It's not trying to show a product, right? Like, this isn't, it's
Here's
a technical demo, right?
Do you want to hear what Jeff said or what Microsoft said?
I'm more interested in Microsoft, but I guess both.
Jeff tweeted it and said, Microsoft has created an AI-generated replica of Quake 2 that you can play in a browser. Every frame is created on the fly by an AI world model. Play it here. So when you click play it here, all it is the game experience. It says at the bottom, it says Copilot may make mistakes. This is an experimental tech demo. Please read. So there's a Nature. It's like a published article about generative AI. And this is just, so it's a study that Microsoft published on nature.com. And this is just one example of the generative AI computer game tech that they're working on. So it's not, this is not like, hey, we're going to replace Quake with this. This is just proof of concept, Joe.
Right. Sure. But the cynical read on that could be, you are trying to develop a game-like product, and this is some proof of concept that maybe eventually leads to that, which is...
But more importantly, nothing about this has to do with the preservation of video games. And that's what they were spinning this as on their curated Microsoft podcast bullshit that they do, which I linked in the article. So yeah, anyway,
that
that's
was
the most
stunning. I couldn't believe he said that. It was like, oh, the gamers and the nerds, the creative people, they hate AI. What can we say to change their minds? What phrase or a couple of words can we throw in here? It's like, oh, game preservation. They're all mad about that.
Yeah,
we shot it down in Congress or whatever it was that happened recently. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway, that was Newsa. Look, I have no problem shitting on corporations when they act like this, because this is stupid and it's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources, and it is insulting to the broader Quake community, which has been beaten down in recent years. Like, it's just, why did it have to be Quake? Why did, I know why. Because they have no fucking art. They have no talent. All they can do is steal shit. So they bought a bunch of shit, so they're going to use it to train their bullshit. And it's like, name a company in the AI space that has actually figured out a business model for this repurposed stolen shit. There isn't one. It's like, the minute that I see something in AI where I'm like, that's useful, I'm not going to shit on it. Like, I think the ability for us to have, natural language translators so that you can talk into your device and it speaks the language for you to the other person, that's awesome and useful.
Yeah.
There's accessibility stuff happening in AI that's awesome and useful. I'm never going to shit on that stuff. But this generative AI, general purpose generative AI, keeps sucking everywhere. And it's like, oh, but Midjourney's looking better, or this new Pika video thing's looking better. It's like they're all striving for a better video of Will Smith eating spaghetti when you could just ask Will Smith to film a fucking video.
Yeah, we just don't need it.
That's my point, is solutions in search of problems. And that's what's wrong with technology in 2025. And Microsoft is at the center of it.
Feels so desperate.
It is desperate, because they've spent over $100 billion researching this shit, Lucas, and they have not a dollar to show for it. Microsoft's closer, because at least they're monetizing Copilot through OS and Office, and I think they shoved it into GitHub too, Joe. So
yep.
And they're out there, and they're gonna
military contracts apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, if that wasn't infuriating enough, let's on to industry. So, which is the industry news palooza brought to you by Shaq News. Hey guys, Donald Trump's an idiot. The stock market had its largest jump in history, not in history, percentage wise, since 2008. Hey guys, remember 2008 was a horrible fucking year for the stock market.
That was a bad one, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's not good news. And yeah, the stocks already have pulled back since then, because Donald Trump has reversed much of the tariffs that he announced on Liberation Day, which is a horribly named thing. But Yeah, so the tariffs with Vietnam have gone down to 10%. The tariffs with Japan have gone down to 10%. He did say that he will not allow Japan Nippon Steel to acquire U.S. steel. Korea's tariffs have been brought down. Everywhere's tariffs have been brought down except for one, China, where they're, I think, going to be above 200% probably by the time our fucking podcast goes out there. This has affected a ton of companies. Razer has halted direct sales and pre-orders of their new laptops. So even if I wanted to buy a Razer, because I was kind of thinking about it, Joe, for my next PC, so that I would have like a mobile setup for both PC and Mac. Yeah, I can't because it would cost probably like $8,000 to $10,000 to buy a laptop from them. Right
Unbelievable.
It's just stupid. The ESA did issue a statement saying that the Trump tariffs will have a real and detrimental impact on the video game industry. That was before he rolled back most of them. Over the weekend, there were anti-tariff hands-off protests taking place outside of the Nintendo Switch experience in NYC that I was at, but also all across the world. We saw them in Detroit. Our neighbors in Canada over in Windsor were protesting in that case. Saw some protests in Chicago, Cleveland, Akron, Columbus here in Ohio. Obviously New York City. Saw some down in the South in Atlanta. All around the world, people are protesting Donald Trump and his inability to do simple fucking algebra. And then, Nintendo delayed the Switch 2 pre-order in the United States due to this, and also in Canada now. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people speculating what they're going to do with price. We don't know. We know that they have, since the walk back by Trump, I've seen multiple reports that Nintendo is shipping as many Switches as possible from Vietnam to the United States right now. So they seem to be okay with shipping Switch 2 to America with a 10% tariff, right? So if you just do the math and you look at the cost of the Switch 2 in Japan versus the cost here, it's about $350 in Japan versus $450 here. That difference is more than 10%. So it's a chance that they were shooting from the hip when they sent out that press release, right? Because they announced the price of the Switch 2 before Trump's tariffs went into place.
Right.
And then they delayed it. They delayed the pre-order time. So is it possible that Nintendo could actually lower the price of the Switch 2 ahead of the pre-order date? Yes, it is. Will it happen? I don't think so. I think $450 will be the price because we're in an uncertain time. Like, Donald Trump did not say he's not going to use these tariffs. He delayed the implementation for 90 days. So it just kicks the can down the road. 90 days is exactly one quarter. So it's like he's doing that because of the stock market, Lucas. And but it still makes any company that's about to report earnings. How the fuck are you supposed to provide guidance for the full year if you don't know the regulatory framework or you don't know how much your product's going to cost? So I know last week everyone wanted to shit on Nintendo for being greedy or not being honest about the price. I don't think they knew the price when they produced that video. And if you go back and you watch any Nintendo Direct where they've announced a product, they've always announced the price. So they knew something was uncertain. One thing I'll say, and it may be intentional or not, Nintendo made tariffs a topic of conversation for young people, where it wasn't before the Switch 2 event. People were not talking about tariffs. But now every YouTuber has a fucking video about tariffs right now.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo, either through their own obliviousness, in my opinion, it was intentional, they thrusted themselves to the center of the conversation. The Stephen Colbert's monologue, he led off with Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order news, I think it was 2 days ago. I saw it on the NBC Nightly News. They were talking about Switch 2 pre-orders. You can't get that kind of publicity. And they have framed themselves as against Trump. It's like, we would have lower prices if it wasn't for this stupid fucking guy. And then, lastly, Doug Bowser proved why he is just never on camera, ever. He said some really dumb things in several interviews, but he did say that Nintendo will use variable pricing for Switch 2 games, which was something I brought up last week on the episode, Joe, that sometimes Nintendo sells games for $5. Sometimes they sell them for $20. Sometimes they're $40, The first game that we ever saw that was 70 was Tears of the Kingdom. And now the first game we've ever seen that's 80, as of right now, is Mario Kart World. There are no $90 games. That was bullshit. But yeah, Nintendo did admit there'll be variable pricing. And I saw the Kit and Krista podcast. They mentioned if Mario Kart World costs $80, it better not have paid DLC because people will lose their minds.
Yeah, that is true.
So I'm with them there. Like, it's still expensive, but Donkey Kong being 70, I don't find to be that outrageous. I bought Zelda without worrying about the $70. So I don't think 70 was the moment, but I do think the sticker shock of 80 and then the financially illiterate sticker shock of 90 that wasn't based on anything true, that created a shitstorm that's still around Nintendo. And we have a Mario Kart Direct coming up on April 17th, I believe, where we will get more news about this. There's a rumor that Nintendo had an all-hands meeting today or tomorrow about the pricing of Switch 2 and the plan for pre-orders. My guess is pre-orders won't start until after that MK World Direct. That's my gut feeling. But the news out of Donald Trump's brain on Tuesday was good. Or was that Wednesday? Sorry, it was Wednesday. But who knows where his demented mind will go. He was suggesting putting tariffs on pharmaceuticals as recently as Tuesday. So who knows where things go.
Just let us live our lives.
Right.
Just from an economical standpoint, when the volatility index is above 50, I have trouble sleeping because it means the world is about to end, basically. So on Tuesday night, I was up researching what the hell was going on in the treasury market. It's possible that who knows what country. There's a rumor it was China. There's a rumor it was Japan. There was a rumor it was a combination of a bunch of countries. But foreign nations own our debt. They own our U.S. treasuries, and we pay them interest on that debt. There's a rumor that if these trade wars continue, especially with China, that China could just start dumping treasuries and create a financial crisis here in America. Because what are all banks forced to own for collateral for their loans? Treasuries. And if all the treasuries go down in value, guess what? All the banks have less capital, and we could create a run on the bank again. The other thing going on, these actions by Donald Trump have permanently and irreparably damaged the image of the United States globally. And the impacts of that will be felt for many decades.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that.
And that means U.S. treasuries might not be viewed as the best place to go. Maybe it's German bonds. Maybe it's Japanese bonds. Maybe it's China, right? And it could also mean that the United States dollar is not going to be the currency of choice going forward. We might be witnessing us turning into England, is what I'm saying. Where the British pound is still a thing that exists, but no one ever talks about what the British pound is valued at, right? Except for British people. I have a feeling that we just watched the dollar become less significant to global trade, and the impact of that will be felt for decades. So the seriousness of this situation, I think, is lost on a lot of people in games media because they want to focus on, it's just Nintendo. No, Sony talked about prices this week. Everyone's talking about prices. But yeah, the price of games, that'll be something that I want to watch because it would not surprise me if they announced that Mario Kart World costs 70 after all the blowback. If they're like, yeah, we're going to price it at 70. And then what? It's not any more expensive than anything else. But on the other hand, maybe this whole Direct's point is to show just how much you can do in the game, right? But I think that's a tall order that they're going to have to deal with because the misinformation brainworm spread like rapid fire last Wednesday. Yeah. And we are still getting comments on our YouTube videos that, I don't want to buy this game. It costs $90. And I'm like, well, good news. It's not $90. Like, no, it's not. Like, yeah, it is. It's like, when that's your comeback, good luck. But yeah, Nintendo has found themselves kind of at the center of this tariff story now. And we'll see how they respond. I imagine, and this is me speculating, that Nintendo, being one of the largest companies in Japan, might be in communication with their central bank over there, the Bank of Japan. So we'll see. But yeah, Donald Trump backed off is basically the TLDR. except in China. I do want to point out, he didn't increase tariffs in Russia.
Really?
Not one.
Incredible.
Isn't that weird? I wonder why. Could it be could it be that the piss tape is real? Anyway. That's gonna do it for our show. So that'll do it. Yeah, you can email me if you know how to spell my name, asif.con@shacknews.com, or you can Shack message the man with the briefcase. People love to do that. You should join, you can also join shacknews.com/chatty and, comment underneath the article for this podcast that'll go live on Friday, right?
That's right.
So that's it. Subscribe to us, like us, do all those things. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you probably should give us a 5-star review. We are the fastest growing video game podcast in the known universe. And I'm saying that based on the same information that people ran that $90 Switch 2 game story on. I pulled it out of my ass. But anyway, support the fastest growing podcast in gaming.
Yeah.
Give us 5 stars. Tell your friends. All those things. We'll see you next week. This is where we wave at the camera and we say bye, even though we're not recording a video podcast yet.
Yeah. Thanks, Lucas. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Welcome back to the Shack News Extended Podcast Universe. Or Shack News, Extended Podcast Universe. Or the CPU, as the kids call it. Are they still calling it CPU?
Yeah, they still call it CPU.
Probably.
Also, happy Victory Day.
Oh, yeah. Before we go, happy Victory and F-Zero 99 Day. Thank you to the Nintendo devs for creating my favorite video game. And thanks to my video game skills for actually fucking winning that game. It's been a hell of a year. It's been quite a journey since that first win and that taste of F-Zero 99 cake. But yeah,
delicious.
that game has been a linchpin of this podcast since the launch. And it will remain that even on the next generation, which is exciting to me. And we'll see. Maybe there's a future for F-Zero. Happy birthday to Captain Falcon today, even though that's not my main. Now I'm gonna have to figure out like Samurai Goro's birthday. But basically, Shack News is we are looking at Japanese holidays and we're thinking about adding them to our holiday calendar. But in the interim, I will keep making up other days to take off. But in April, we took off April 1st because it's just too hard to be a news outlet on April 1st. And April 11th from here on out is a day off at Shack News.
Love that.
So happy Victory and F-Zero 99 Day, everybody. We'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack News is a multimedia company consisting of a variety of entertainment properties, including ShackNews.com, video game and cutting-edge technology coverage with evergreen video, guide, and long-read content, providing readers and viewers with the latest reviews, previews, interviews, and news. Shack News content is readable and viewable at shacknews.com, Facebook, YouTube at Shack News Interviews, and Shack News VODs, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Shack News Media, Twitch, and more. But that's not all. You can play Bubbletron, our first video game. Combine 3 ideas, hit the market, and get your money hat. Bubbletron is a daily game in the style of Wordle, where players can launch a company and see its valuation instantly. Hit that high score and brag to your friends. Visit Bubbletron.com to play. There is no download required, no signups required. But if you are into app downloads, we have the cutest one on the planet. It's called Shack Pets, the ultimate battle for cuteness. Swipe your pets to victory on iOS and Android in this Tinder-like app for pets. Shack News is proud to present a variety of micro products, all available for free at shacknews.com. Cortex is a publishing platform available to all of our users. Shouts is a Twitter replacement in a time where Twitter really needs replacing. And Reader, an RSS reader that won't get shut down by Google anytime soon. You can import YouTube, subreddits, all sorts of cool stuff, even podcast feeds. And lastly, all of our products are completely free to use and play, so if you're a fan of what we're doing and want to support the Shack News ecosystem, head over to shacknews.com/Mercury. Mercury offers subscribers access to exclusive Shack News swag like hoodies and VIP access to our long reads in downloadable format. It's a great way to support us. There's different tiers, and you get a lightning bolt next to your name.